Captain Zethkar stood on the bridge of his ship, the Harmony's voice staring at the sensor readings with all four of his eyes. The numbers made no sense. Something was moving through space at the edge of their territory, something that should not exist. "Show me the readings again," he said to his crew member Velnara. Her blue skin turned pale as she worked at her station. "Captain, the object has the mass of a small moon, but it's moving with purpose. It's not following any natural orbit or drift pattern. Something is controlling it." Zethkar felt his throat pouch inflate with worry. In his 40 years of service with the Galactic Confederation, he had never seen anything like this. The Confederation had mapped most of known space. They knew every species, every ship type, every technology. Nothing this massive could move under its own power. "Could it be a rogue planet?" asked his second officer, Crixon. "Planets don't change course," Velnara replied. "This thing has altered its path 3 times in the last day. It's definitely a ship of some kind. A ship the size of a moon." Zethkar tried to imagine what kind of species would build such a thing. The largest Confederation vessels were barely 200 meters long. They were built for efficiency and beauty, not size. What purpose could something so massive serve? "Send a message to Confederation Command," he ordered. "Tell them we're investigating an unknown vessel of unprecedented size. Request backup if available." "Already done, Captain," Velnara said. "They're sending the Peaceful Dawn and Star Whisper to assist. They should arrive in 6 hours." Zethkar nodded. 3 ships should be enough to handle first contact with any reasonable species. Even if this vessel was large, surely its builders would be civilized. Any species advanced enough to build such a ship must have learned the value of peace and cooperation. "Take us closer," he commanded, "but keep our distance. If something goes wrong, I want room to retreat." The Harmony's voice moved through space with elegant grace. Its flowing curves and crystal panels caught the light of nearby stars, making it look like a piece of art rather than a machine. This was the Confederation way. Technology should be beautiful as well as functional. As they drew closer to the massive object, Zethkar began to make out details. What he saw made his blood run cold. The ship was a monster. It stretched over 5 kilometers from front to back, a gray and black mass of metal and machinery. Where Confederation ships had smooth curves, this thing had sharp angles and brutal edges. Its hull was covered in what looked like weapon ports, sensor arrays, and communication dishes. Scars and burn marks covered its surface as if it had been through many battles. "By the great light," whispered Crixon. "It's a warship." But Zethkar noticed something else that made it even more frightening. The ship wasn't just big, it was clearly built to last. Where Confederation vessels used lightweight materials and efficient designs, this monster was built with layer upon layer of thick armor. It looked like it could fly through a star and come out the other side intact. "Captain," Velnara's voice shook. "It's transmitting." "What kind of transmission?" "Everything. Radio waves, quantum signals, electromagnetic pulses. It's broadcasting on hundreds of different frequencies at once. Our computers can't make sense of it all." Zethkar felt his hearts beating faster. A ship that size, covered in weapons, broadcasting chaos across every communication channel. This could only be a vessel of war. But war against whom? And why was it here at the edge of Confederation space? "Can you understand any of the transmissions?" Velnara worked at her station for several minutes. "I'm getting fragments. There are dozens of different languages mixed together. Some of the signals seem to be music, and there are what might be educational broadcasts, children's voices. But it's all jumbled together." This made no sense to Zethkar. Why would a warship broadcast children's programs? Unless the children were prisoners. His throat pouch inflated further with disgust. What kind of monsters would use children as shields? "Captain, the other ships are arriving," Crixon reported. Zethkar looked at his tactical display. The Peaceful Dawn and Star Whisper had emerged from hyperspace and were taking positions around the massive alien vessel. Compared to the monster ship, they looked like small birds circling a sleeping giant. "Open a channel to the other captains," he ordered. 2 faces appeared on his screen. Captain Lysara of the Peaceful Dawn was a Veltar like himself, her purple skin showing the stress patterns that meant fear. Captain Quintol of the Star Whisper was a Crixhai, his tentacle beard writhing with agitation. "Have you analyzed the vessel?" Lysara asked immediately. "It's unlike anything in our databases," Zethkar replied. 5 kilometers long, heavily armed, broadcasting on every frequency. "It appears to be a warship of some unknown species. The energy readings are incredible, Quintal added. The power output from that ship could supply a small planet. What are they using it for? Unknown. But we need to attempt contact. If this is a peaceful species, we don't want to appear hostile. If it's not, Zethkar let the sentence hang. Agreed, said Lysara. But we should be ready to retreat if necessary. That ship could destroy all three of us without effort. They tried for 2 hours to establish communication. The alien ship continued its chaotic broadcasting, but showed no sign of responding to their signals. Finally, something changed, Captain, Felnara called out. Movement from the alien vessel. They're launching smaller craft. Zethkar watched as dozens of objects separated from the massive ship. His blood turned to ice as he saw them clearly. They were attack craft, sleek, fast, and heading directly toward the Confederation ships. All ships prepare for combat, he shouted into the communication channel. The aliens are launching fighters. The attack craft moved with incredible speed, much faster than any Confederation fighter. Their design was as brutal as their mothership, sharp edges, weapon pods, and no concern for aesthetic beauty. They were built for one purpose, destruction. Shields up, Zethkar ordered. Prepare to return fire if they attack. But something was wrong. The alien fighters weren't firing. They were approaching, but their weapons were not active. Instead, they seemed to be flying in formation, almost like a parade or ceremony. Captain, Felnara said slowly, I don't think those are attack craft. The energy signatures are wrong. They're not showing weapon charges or targeting systems. They might be shuttles, but they looked so aggressive, so military. What kind of species built their civilian craft to look like weapons of war? Sir, I'm receiving a transmission from one of the approaching craft, Felnara reported. It's in one of the languages we detected earlier. The computer is trying to translate. The main screen flickered, and then a face appeared. Zethkar gasped. The alien was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its skin was pale, almost white, with no natural patterns or coloring. It had only 2 eyes positioned in the front of its head like a predator. Hair covered the top of its skull in an unnatural brown color. But most disturbing of all, when it opened its mouth to speak, Zethkar could see that it had teeth designed for tearing meat. This was clearly a carnivorous species, a race of hunters and killers. The alien's mouth moved, and after a moment, translated words appeared on the screen. Greetings, unknown vessels. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Prometheus Unbound. We come in peace and wish to establish friendly relations with your species. Please respond if you can understand this message. Zethkar stared at the screen in shock. The monster ship, the brutal fighters, the predatory aliens, they claimed to come in peace. Either this was the most elaborate trap in galactic history, or these humans were so warlike that they didn't even realize how terrifying they appeared. Either way, first contact with humanity had begun, and nothing would ever be the same. Captain Sarah Chen sat in the command center of the Prometheus Unbound, watching the 3 alien ships with growing confusion. They had been broadcasting friendly greetings for over an hour, but the aliens seemed to be getting more agitated, not less. Any response yet, Marcus? She asked her communications officer. Lieutenant Marcus Webb shook his head. Nothing coherent, Captain. They're broadcasting back, but the computer can't make sense of it. It's like they're using 50 different languages at once, just like we are. Sarah rubbed her forehead. The Prometheus Unbound was humanity's first-generation ship, carrying 50,000 colonists to establish a new world. The ship had every human language and dialect stored in its computers, and they were transmitting in all of them to give the aliens the best chance of finding something they could translate. Apparently this was causing more confusion than clarity. Dr. Vasquez, what do you think? Sarah turned to the expedition's xenobiologist. Dr. Elena Vasquez looked up from her analysis station. The ships are beautiful, Captain. Look at those curves, those crystal formations. This is clearly a peaceful species that values art and harmony. But they seem afraid? Sarah looked at the tactical display. The alien ships were maintaining distance and had their shields raised. Their formation suggested defensive positions. Maybe they're just being cautious. First contact is scary for everyone. Incoming transmission, Marcus called out. It's from the lead alien ship. Video and audio. The main screen flickered and Sarah found herself looking at the most fascinating creature she had ever seen. The alien had purple skin with intricate patterns, 4 eyes arranged symmetrically on its face and what looked like an inflatable throat pouch. It was beautiful in an exotic way that took her breath away. The alien's mouth opened and strange musical sounds came out. After a moment, the computer provided a translation. "Attention, human vessel. We are Captain Zethkar of the Galactic Confederation ship Harmony's Voice. State your intentions in this system." Sarah smiled and stepped forward. "Greetings, Captain Zethkar. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Prometheus Unbound. We're explorers and colonists looking for a new world to settle. We come in peace and friendship." She watched as her words were translated and transmitted. The alien captain's throat pouch seemed to swell larger and all four eyes widened. The creature said something that the computer translated as, "You are seeking to conquer a world?" "Not conquer," Sarah said quickly. "Settle. We're looking for an uninhabited planet where we can build a new home for our people." This seemed to make the alien even more agitated. "You carry invasion forces in your war machine?" "War machine?" Sarah looked around the bridge in confusion. The Prometheus Unbound was many things. A city, a factory, a mobile home for 50,000 people. But it was hardly a war machine. Sure, it had defensive weapons, but any ship traveling between stars needed protection from asteroids and space debris. "Captain Zethkar, I think there's been a misunderstanding. This isn't a war machine. It's a colony ship. We're civilians, not soldiers." Dr. Vasquez stepped up beside her. "Captain, may I suggest we invite them aboard? A face-to-face meeting might clear up this confusion." Sarah nodded. "Captain Zethkar, would you like to send representatives to our ship? We'd be happy to show you around and demonstrate our peaceful intentions." The alien captain's reaction was immediate and alarming. His throat pouch inflated to twice its previous size, and he began speaking rapidly to his crew. The computer caught fragments. Boarding party, trap, surrender demands. No, no. Sarah waved her hands. Not a boarding party. Diplomats, scientists, people who want to be friends. But the aliens seemed to be getting more frightened by the minute. Sarah watched in dismay as their ships began to back away. "Captain," called out Lieutenant Rodriguez from the tactical station, "we're detecting mining operations starting in the asteroid belt. The automated drones are beginning resource extraction as scheduled." Sarah's heart sank. The mining drones were part of their standard procedures when entering a new system. They collected raw materials for ship maintenance and construction. But to aliens who were already terrified, it might look like preparation for invasion. "Shut down the mining operation," she ordered. "Too late, Captain," Rodriguez replied. "The aliens are reacting to it. They're transmitting what the computer thinks are military alerts." On the screen, Captain Zethkar was clearly agitated. His translated words came through. "The human war machine deploys siege equipment. All ships maintain defensive positions. Do not let them establish orbital dominance." "This is insane," Dr. Vasquez muttered. "They think we're invading." Things got worse when 10-year-old Tommy Chen, the captain's nephew, decided to test his new remote-controlled fighter jet in the ship's main hangar. The boy had built it himself in engineering class, complete with a small electromagnetic pulse generator that he thought would make cool light effects. The toy fighter zipped out of the hangar and into space, following the signal from Tommy's controller. It was only 30 centimeters long, painted bright red with flame decals and obviously homemade. To Tommy, it was the coolest thing ever. To the aliens, it looked like a probe or small attack drone. "Captain," Marcus called out, "one of the alien ships is approaching the toy. I mean the small craft that just launched." Sarah grabbed the intercom. "Tommy Chen, get to the bridge right now." The boy appeared a few minutes later, clutching his remote control and looking confused. "Did I do something wrong, Aunt Sarah?" Before she could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. "Captain," Rodriguez reported, "the alien ship that approached the toy has gone dark. All systems appear to be offline." On the main screen, they could see the alien vessel drifting without power. Tommy's toy fighter was floating nearby, its little EMP generator having discharged when it bumped into the alien ship's hull. Sarah stared in horror. Tommy's harmless toy had somehow disabled an advanced alien starship. To the aliens, it would look like a deliberate attack. "Tommy, what did you put in that toy?" "Just a little EMP generator," the boy said proudly. "I saw it in one of Dad's engineering manuals. It makes really cool lightning effects when it discharges." Dr. Vasquez looked pale. "Captain, if their technology is that sensitive to electromagnetic pulses, they might think we just attacked them with some kind of advanced weapon." The remaining alien ships were now backing away rapidly. Captain Zethkar's face reappeared on the screen, his throat pouch fully inflated and his eyes wide with what looked like terror. "Human warship," the translation came through. "You have demonstrated your superior weapons technology. We are withdrawing to report your presence to Confederation Command. Do not pursue or we will be forced to defend ourselves." "Wait," Sarah called out. "That was an accident. A child's toy. Please don't leave." But the alien ships were already activating what looked like hyperspace drives. In moments, they were gone, leaving the humans alone with their disabled ship drifting in space. Sarah slumped into her command chair. So much for peaceful first contact. Dr. Vasquez was already analyzing the encounter. "Captain, I think we have a serious problem. These aliens appear to come from a peaceful civilization. Their ships are built for beauty and efficiency, not durability. They probably haven't seen real warfare in centuries, maybe millennia. So they look at us and see everything through the lens of their own peaceful nature. Our ship is built to survive anything space can throw at it. So they see a war machine. Our mining drones look like siege equipment. Tommy's toy disabled their ship with a simple EMP, so they think we have incredibly advanced weapons." Marcus looked up from his station. "Captain, I'm detecting hyperspace signatures. The aliens called for backup. We've got at least a dozen ships approaching." Sarah stood up. "Red alert! All hands to stations. It looks like our reputation is about to get a lot worse." Dr. Vasquez stared at the tactical display showing the approaching alien fleet. "Captain, I don't think they're coming to talk. I think they're coming to contain what they see as a massive threat to their civilization." "But we're just colonists," Sarah protested. "To them," Dr. Vasquez said grimly, "we're monsters. And the more we try to explain ourselves, the more monstrous we appear." The Prometheus Unbound continued on its course, unaware that news of the human war machine was already spreading across the galaxy at the speed of light. Humanity's reputation in the galactic community was being written by fear, misunderstanding, and a 10-year-old boy's science project. First Contact was turning into humanity's first galactic crisis, and they hadn't even realized it yet. Admiral Kesithera stood in the center of Confederation Command, watching the holographic displays with growing alarm. Reports were flooding in from across the galaxy about the human war machine and its incredible capabilities. "Show me the analysis again," she ordered her intelligence officer, Commander Vexani. The three-dimensional display shifted to show the encounter data. "Admiral, the human vessel is unlike anything in our records. 5 kilometers long, armored beyond anything we've seen and carrying what appears to be a massive military force." "How many soldiers?" Kesithara asked. "Intelligence estimates 50,000 based on the ship's size and power requirements. That's larger than most planetary defense forces." Kesithara felt her scales shift to a darker blue, a sign of deep concern among her species. "And their weapons?" "Unknown but clearly advanced. They disabled the Peaceful Dawn with a small probe that appeared to be no larger than a communications drone. Our engineers believe it used some form of directed electromagnetic weapon that our shields couldn't stop." The Admiral studied the data carefully. In her 70 years of service, she had never encountered a species like this. The Galactic Confederation had been peaceful for over 1,000 years. Wars were things of the ancient past, resolved through diplomacy and mutual understanding. "What do we know about their planet of origin?" Commander Vexani brought up a new display. "They call it Earth. Long-range sensors show it's a remarkably hostile world. Extreme weather patterns, frequent natural disasters, and evidence of massive environmental damage from what appears to be industrial warfare." "Warfare?" Kesithara's scales turned almost black. "Recent warfare?" "Very recent, Admiral. Some of the damage appears to be less than a century old. This species may still be actively engaged in planetary conflicts." This was worse than she had thought. A species that was still fighting wars on its own planet, now moving into space with weapons that could disable Confederation ships. It was a scenario from the darkest historical archives. "Admiral," another officer called out, "we're receiving reports from the Velnari system. The human ship has appeared there and they're mining the asteroid belt." Kesithera moved to the communication station. "Put me through to the Velnari system commander." Captain Telivas appeared on the screen, his crystalline features glowing with stress patterns. "Admiral, the human war machine has entered our system without permission. They've deployed hundreds of mining vessels and are stripping the asteroid belt. Mining vessels? Kessithera studied the tactical data. The objects looked like industrial ships, but their size and apparent armor made them seem more like mobile fortresses. What's their apparent purpose? Unknown, Admiral. They're extracting massive quantities of metals and rare minerals, enough to build a fleet or supply a long-term occupation force. The implications hit Kessithera like a physical blow. The humans weren't just exploring, they were preparing for conquest. They were building supply lines and establishing resource bases in Confederation space. Any attempt at communication? They keep broadcasting what they claim are peaceful intentions, Televas reported. But their actions speak louder than words. No peaceful species deploys this level of industrial military infrastructure. Kessithera made a decision that would change galactic history. All systems in the projected path of the human vessel are to be evacuated. Issue general alerts to all member species. We're dealing with a potential invasion force. Meanwhile, aboard the Prometheus Unbound, Captain Sarah Chen was growing increasingly frustrated with the aliens' behavior. Every system they entered, the local population fled in terror. Their peaceful broadcast messages were ignored, and their attempts to land diplomatic shuttles were met with defense fleets. "I don't understand it," she said to Dr. Vasquez during their daily briefing. "We're being as non-threatening as possible, but they act like we're some kind of monster." Dr. Vasquez had been studying the alien communications they'd managed to intercept. "Captain, I think I'm beginning to understand the problem. These aliens come from a completely different evolutionary background than us." "What do you mean?" "Look at their ships, their art, their culture. Everything is focused on harmony, beauty, cooperation. I think they come from worlds without major predators, without natural disasters, without the kind of challenges that shaped human evolution." Sarah frowned. So they look at us and see everything that their evolution taught them to fear. We build our ships thick and armored because space is dangerous. They build theirs light and beautiful because they've never needed to survive in hostile environments. Chief Engineer Roberts joined the conversation. "Doc's right, Captain. I've been analyzing the ship we accidentally disabled. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it's also incredibly fragile. They've never had to design anything to survive battle damage or electromagnetic interference." "But we're not trying to fight them," Sarah protested. "No, but think about it from their perspective," Dr. Vasquez continued. "We show up in a ship that looks like a flying fortress carrying enough people to populate a world, with industrial equipment that can strip mine asteroids. To a peaceful species, we look like the ultimate invasion force." The situation got worse when they reached the Crix High homeworld. The local government had already evacuated their orbital stations and moved their population to underground shelters. When the Prometheus Unbound appeared, the entire planet went into lockdown. "Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, "we're receiving what appears to be surrender offers from the planetary government." "Surrender offers?" Sarah stood up sharply. "We haven't threatened anyone." "I know, ma'am, but they're offering to provide us with resources, workers, and hostages if we'll spare their civilian population." Sarah felt sick. "Open a channel. I want to talk to their leaders directly." The main screen showed a gathering of alien officials in what looked like an underground bunker. They appeared to be from several different species, all showing clear signs of fear. The lead alien, a tentacled creature with large eyes, spoke through the translation system. "Great human war leaders, we offer our surrender. Please accept our tribute and spare our people." "We don't want your surrender," Sarah said desperately. "We don't want tribute. We just want to be friends." The aliens exchanged what looked like confused glances. One of them, a tall, thin creature with blue skin, spoke up. You don't want our world?" "No. We're looking for an empty planet where we can build our own colony. We don't want to take anyone's home." This seemed to confuse them even more. But your massive invasion force, your military infrastructure. Why do you need so many soldiers if you're not conquering worlds?" Dr. Vasquez stepped forward. "Captain, may I try?" Sarah nodded, and the xenobiologist addressed the aliens directly. "Honored leaders, I think there's been a misunderstanding. We're not soldiers, we're families. The people on our ship are colonists, farmers, teachers, engineers, children. We build our ship strong because space is dangerous, not because we want to fight." "Children?" The tentacled leader's eyes grew even larger. "You bring your offspring to war?" "We're not at war," Dr. Vasquez said patiently. "We're moving our families to a new home. In human culture, children travel with their parents." This seemed to shock the aliens even more. One of them said something that translated as, "They're so confident in their military superiority that they treat invasion like a family outing." Dr. Vasquez looked back at Sarah with despair. "Captain, I don't think we can convince them. Everything we say makes us sound more threatening to them." The problems escalated when human engineering teams, trying to be helpful, began fixing problems on the alien space stations they encountered. What took the aliens months of careful planning and construction, human engineers could repair in hours with their robust, overbuilt tools and direct approach to problem solving. To the humans, they were just being neighborly. To the aliens, it looked like a demonstration of impossibly advanced technology deployed with casual ease. "Admiral," Commander Vexani reported to Confederation Command, "the humans have now assisted with infrastructure problems on 4 different worlds. In each case, they solved complex engineering challenges in a fraction of the time it would take our best teams." Admiral Kessis Thera studied the reports. "They're showing off, demonstrating their technological superiority to intimidate us. It's working, Admiral. Half the Confederation Council is ready to negotiate a surrender rather than face these humans in battle. And the other half? They want to fight. They believe the humans are testing our defenses, preparing for a full-scale invasion." As news of the human war machine spread across the galaxy, fear turned to panic. Some species began building larger defense fleets. Others started evacuating their colonies. A few even began developing new weapons, breaking 1,000-year-old peace treaties in their desperation to match what they thought was humanity's military might. The Galactic Confederation was coming apart, and the humans didn't even know it, all because they had built their ships to last, brought their families with them, and tried to be helpful neighbors. The greatest misunderstanding in galactic history was spreading like wildfire, and no one knew how to stop it. The crisis reached its peak when the Prometheus Unbound entered the Zarketh system, completely unaware that they had just interrupted the most important peace negotiation in recent galactic history. For 3 months, the Helix Empire and the Spiral Coalition had been engaged in delicate talks to end a border dispute that had lasted 50 years. Ambassador Yelandra of the Helix, Empire and Chancellor Mortek of the Spiral Coalition, had finally reached an agreement, when every sensor in the system screamed warnings of an incoming massive object. "What is that thing?" Ambassador Yelandra gasped, her feathered crest rising in alarm as she stared at the holographic display. Chancellor Mortek's tentacles writhed with anxiety. "It's enormous, bigger than anything in our databases, and it's heading straight for the neutral zone." Both delegations watched in stunned silence as the Prometheus Unbound emerged from hyperspace. To them, it looked like a massive dreadnought, its scarred hull and weapon ports clearly visible. The timing could not have been worse. "It's a human ship," whispered the Helix military advisor. "The war machine that's been moving through Confederation space." Chancellor Mortek felt his heart stop. "The humans, they've come to the negotiation. This changed everything." Both sides had heard the reports about humanity's incredible military power, their ability to disable ships with simple probes, their massive invasion force disguised as colonists. If the humans were here, it could only mean one thing. "They're here to enforce their will on the peace process," Ambassador Yelandra said quietly. "They want to control the outcome." Within minutes, both fleets were broadcasting surrender signals. Neither side wanted to face the human war machine. The peace negotiation that had taken months to arrange was abandoned in favor of a desperate attempt to appease the terrifying newcomers. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Unbound, staring at the tactical display in complete bewilderment. They had dropped out of hyperspace for routine navigation checks and fuel collection from the system's gas giant. But something was clearly wrong. "Captain," Lieutenant Marcus Webb reported, "we're receiving multiple transmissions from both alien fleets. They appear to be offering us their surrender." "Their what?" Sarah looked around the bridge. "Why would they surrender? We haven't done anything." Dr. Vasquez was already analyzing the alien communications. "Captain, I think we've stumbled into some kind of political situation. The computer is translating references to a peace negotiation, border disputes, and... Oh no, what? They think we're here to take control of their negotiation. Both sides are offering to accept whatever terms we dictate." Sarah felt a headache coming on. "Open a channel to both fleets. Let me talk to their leaders." The main screen split to show 2 very different aliens, On the left was a tall, elegant creature with colorful feathers and 4 arms. On the right was a squat, tentacled being with large, intelligent eyes. Both looked terrified. "Greetings," Sarah began carefully. "I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Prometheus Unbound. We're just passing through your system and didn't mean to interrupt anything important." The feathered alien spoke first. "Great human overlord, we of the Helix Empire submit to your wisdom. Please dictate the terms of peace and we will obey." The tentacled alien quickly added, "The Spiral Coalition also accepts human authority over this dispute. We seek only to avoid your wrath." Sarah looked at Dr. Vasquez, who could only shrug helplessly. "Look, we're not overlords or authorities over anything. We're just travelers looking for a new home. Please continue your negotiation. Don't mind us." This seemed to confuse both aliens even more. They began speaking rapidly to their advisors, and fragments of the translation came through. "Testing us. Pretending not to be involved. Psychological warfare." "Captain," Chief Engineer Roberts called from his station, "we've got a problem with the fuel collector. One of the intake valves is stuck. Permission to launch a repair shuttle?" Sarah nodded absently, still trying to figure out what to say to the increasingly agitated aliens. "Go ahead, Roberts. What happened next would become legend in galactic politics." The human repair shuttle, a sturdy little craft designed to work in hostile environments, approached the malfunctioning fuel collector and began diagnostic scans. To the human crew, it was routine maintenance. To the watching aliens, it looked like the humans were deploying some kind of advanced scanning technology on the gas giant itself. When the shuttle used its plasma torch to cut through a stuck fuel line, the bright energy discharge was visible across the system. "They're mining the gas giant," whispered Ambassador Ylandra. "They're demonstrating that they can extract resources from any world they choose." Chancellor Mortek's tentacles went rigid with fear. "They're showing us what they could do to our homeworlds if we displease them." The situation escalated further when the human engineering team, having fixed their fuel collector, noticed that both alien fleets had serious problems with their power systems. The elegant alien ships were running on barely 60% power due to inefficient energy distribution, while the tentacled aliens' vessels were suffering from radiation leaks in their engines. To Chief Engineer Roberts, these were obvious problems that could be fixed in an afternoon. "Captain, those alien ships are running on systems that could fail at any time." "Permission to offer assistance?" "Of course," Sarah said. "It's the neighborly thing to do." The human engineering shuttles approached both fleets, broadcasting technical assistance offers. Within hours, human engineers were working on alien ships, upgrading their power systems and fixing critical malfunctions. To the humans, they were just being helpful. To the aliens, it looked like the humans were casually demonstrating technology so advanced that they could upgrade any ship in the galaxy within hours. "This is impossible," the Helix Chief Engineer reported to Ambassador Ylandra. "They've increased our power efficiency by 40% using techniques I don't even understand. This level of technology should take decades to develop." Chancellor Mortek received similar reports. "They fixed our radiation leaks with what appears to be standard maintenance equipment. Either their basic tools are more advanced than our finest instruments, or they're showing off just how superior their technology is." By the end of the day, both sides were convinced that humanity was the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy, capable of casually solving problems that had plagued their engineers for years. "Captain," Dr. Vasquez said quietly, "I think we need to leave. Our presence here is causing more problems than we're solving." But it was too late. Both alien fleets were now competing to offer humanity better tribute and concessions, each side trying to win human support for their position in the abandoned peace negotiation. "Honored human leaders," Ambassador Ylandra broadcast, "the Helix Empire offers exclusive trading rights and territorial concessions in exchange for your support in our rightful claims." Chancellor Mortek immediately countered, "The Spiral Coalition offers superior mining rights and military alliance in return for human backing of our legitimate position." Sarah stood up abruptly. "Stop. We don't want your trading rights or territorial concessions. We just want you to solve your own problems peacefully." This caused even more confusion. The aliens began discussing whether this was some kind of test, a way for the humans to judge their worthiness for alliance. When Sarah ordered the Prometheus Unbound to leave the system, both sides interpreted it as a sign that they had failed the human test. The humans are disappointed in us, Ambassador Yelandra reported to her government. They expect us to resolve our differences without their direct intervention. Chancellor Mortek came to the same conclusion. They're testing our ability to negotiate without their oversight. We must prove worthy of their respect. Within days, both sides had signed the most comprehensive peace treaty in their history, each desperate to prove to the absent humans that they were capable of peaceful resolution. The border dispute that had lasted 50 years was settled in a week, all because both sides believed humanity was watching and judging their progress. News of the Zarketh miracle spread across the galaxy. The human war machine had appeared at a deadlocked negotiation, demonstrated incomprehensible technological superiority, and somehow convinced both sides to make peace without firing a single shot. To the galactic community, it looked like masterful diplomacy backed by overwhelming force. The humans had shown that they could solve any problem, fix any technology, and end any conflict through a combination of superior capabilities and psychological manipulation. Admiral Kesithera received the reports with growing dread. Commander Vexani, the humans didn't just stumble into that negotiation, did they? Intelligence suggests it was carefully planned, Admiral. They appeared exactly when the talks were stalled, demonstrated their technological capabilities, and manipulated both sides into making peace through a combination of intimidation and strategic withdrawal. So they're not just militarily superior, Kesithera realized. They're master strategists and diplomats as well. The misunderstanding was now complete. Humanity had accidentally convinced the galaxy that they were not just incredibly powerful, but incredibly clever. Every action the humans took was seen as part of a grand strategy. Every accident as a calculated move in a game too complex for lesser species to understand. And a bore. 3 months after the Zarketh incident, Ambassador Elena Vasquez finally achieved what she had been working toward since first contact, a real conversation with an alien leader. Captain Zethkar of the Harmony's Voice had agreed to meet face-to-face aboard a neutral space station in the Centauri system. Elena sat across from the purple-skinned alien in a simple conference room, both of them without weapons or guards. It had taken weeks of careful negotiation just to arrange this meeting. Most alien species were still too terrified of humanity to risk direct contact. "Thank you for coming, Captain Zethkar," Elena said carefully. "I know this requires great courage on your part." Zethkar's throat pouch inflated slightly, a sign she had learned indicated anxiety. "I admit, Ambassador Vasquez, I am puzzled by this meeting. Your species has demonstrated overwhelming superiority in every area. Why do you wish to speak with someone as insignificant as myself?" Elena felt her heart sink. Even now, after all her efforts, the aliens still saw humanity as some kind of dominant power. "Captain, I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding about my people. We're not trying to demonstrate superiority. We're just trying to survive and find a new home." "Survive?" Zethkar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "But you have the most powerful ship in known space, technology that surpasses anything we've ever seen, and the ability to solve problems that have puzzled our greatest minds for generations. Our ship is powerful because space is dangerous," Elena explained patiently. "We built it to protect 50,000 people on a journey that takes decades. Our technology seems advanced to you because we come from a very different world." She activated a holographic projector, showing images of Earth. Zethkar's throat pouch inflated dramatically as he saw hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and the scars of ancient wars. "This is our homeworld," Elena continued. "It taught us to build things that can survive disasters, to solve problems quickly under pressure, and to prepare for the worst possible situations." Zethkar stared at the images in shock. "Your world it's a nightmare. How do any of you survive to adulthood? We adapt. We cooperate. We build redundant systems and plan for emergencies. What looks like military aggression to you is just normal caution for us." The alien captain was quiet for a long time, studying the Earth images. Finally he spoke. "The Confederation worlds are stable, Ambassador. Our greatest natural disaster in recorded history was a solar flare that disrupted communications for 3 days. We have never needed to build ships like fortresses or train our children to use electromagnetic weapons." "Our children don't use weapons," Elena said quickly. "That incident with your ship was a toy, a science project. Human children learn by experimenting and building things. A toy that could disable our most advanced starship, Zethkar pointed out. Elena nodded sadly. Yes, and that tells us something important about the differences between our civilizations. You built your technology to be efficient and beautiful. We built ours to be tough and reliable. Neither approach is wrong, but they've led to very different capabilities. Their conversation was interrupted by alarms throughout the station. Emergency broadcasts filled the corridors and both Elena and Zethkar rushed to the command center. What's happening? Elena asked the station commander, a crystalline being whose faceted surface was flashing with urgent patterns. Ancient automated warships, the commander replied. They've awakened in the void sector and are consuming entire star systems. The Confederation fleet has been destroyed. Nothing can stop them. Elena watched the tactical displays with growing horror. The enemy ships were massive, dark constructs that seemed to absorb energy and matter indiscriminately. They moved through space like a plague, leaving dead systems in their wake. How many people? She asked quietly. Billions, the commander replied. 12 worlds so far, with more falling every hour. Our weapons can't penetrate their defenses, and they adapt to every strategy we try. Elena immediately activated her communicator. Captain Chen, this is Ambassador Vasquez. We have an emergency situation. Sarah's voice came through clearly. What do you need, Elena? The galaxy is under attack by some kind of ancient war machines. The local forces can't stop them. Permission to offer assistance? There was a pause. How many people are in danger? Billions, Sarah, entire civilizations. We're on our way. Elena turned to find Captain Zethkar staring at her. You're going to fight those things? But they're unstoppable. They've destroyed everything the Confederation could send against them. Maybe, Elena said, but we can't just watch people die. 6 hours later, the Prometheus Unbound emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the combat zone. The sight that greeted them was devastating. Dead planets floated in space, their surfaces stripped of all life and energy. The ancient war machines moved between systems like hungry giants, their dark hulls absorbing everything in their path. My God, Captain Chen whispered. How long have those things been doing this? Unknown, Captain, reported Lieutenant Rodriguez. But they're heading for the inhabited systems. At their current speed, they'll reach the next populated world in 18 hours. Dr. Vasquez had joined the bridge crew to help with the analysis. Captain, these machines appear to be some kind of automated defense system from a dead civilization. They're programmed to eliminate any species that reaches a certain level of technology. And the Confederation reached that level, Sarah concluded. It seems so. But Sarah, there's something else. The aliens have been watching our approach. They think we're here to establish dominance over the aftermath, to claim territory while they're weakened. Sarah looked at the tactical display showing the massive alien fleet hanging back, watching but not engaging. Open a channel to all ships in the area. The communications officer nodded. Channel open, Captain. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Prometheus Unbound. We're here to help stop these machines, not to claim territory or establish dominance. Any ship that wants to assist is welcome. Any ship that wants to evacuate civilians should do so immediately. The response was immediate. Captain Zethkar's voice came through the channel. Human vessel, those machines have destroyed our most powerful warships. Your ship, though impressive, cannot face them alone. Maybe not, Sarah agreed, but we have to try. We can't just watch civilizations die. What happened next would become the turning point in galactic history. The Prometheus Unbound, built to survive the dangers of interstellar space, proved to be exactly what the galaxy needed to fight an enemy from the void. The ancient war machines had been designed to fight the elegant, efficient ships of peaceful civilizations. They were not prepared for humanity's approach to engineering, redundant systems, heavy armor, and the stubborn refusal to give up. When the enemy's energy weapons hit the Prometheus Unbound, they barely scratched its thick hull. When the machines tried to drain the ship's power, they found backup systems and independent generators that kept fighting. When they attempted to disable the ship's weapons, they discovered that humans had learned to build things that worked even when badly damaged. Target their energy absorption arrays, Sarah ordered. Use kinetic weapons, old-fashioned bullets and missiles. If they're designed to counter energy weapons, let's try something more primitive. The strategy worked. The ancient machines, built to fight sophisticated energy-based conflicts, had no defense against simple kinetic projectiles fired at high velocity. Human weapons designed for reliability rather than elegance. punched through defenses that had stopped the finest Confederation technology. But the real turning point came when Captain Zethkar, inspired by humanity's courage, rallied the surviving alien ships. All vessels follow the human ship's lead. Use whatever weapons you have. If the humans can fight those monsters, so can we. The battle that followed was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. Human engineering and alien courage combined to drive back an enemy that had seemed unstoppable. The Prometheus Unbound led the charge, its scarred hull taking hit after hit while its weapons systematically dismantled the ancient war machines. Other ships followed, using the humans' tactics and learning from their example. The elegant Confederation vessels, never designed for combat, fought with desperate bravery against an enemy that threatened everything they valued. When the last ancient war machine was destroyed, a strange silence fell over the battlefield. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species floated in space, their crews realizing that they had just witnessed something extraordinary. Captain Chen, Captain Zethkar's voice came over the communication channel. On behalf of the Galactic Confederation, I offer our deepest gratitude. You saved us all. Sarah stood on her bridge looking at the tactical display showing the mixed fleet of human and alien ships. We all saved each other, Captain. That's what neighbors do. Dr. Vasquez smiled from her station. Captain, I think they finally understand. We're not monsters trying to conquer them. We're just different with different strengths and different weaknesses, so